all stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody, is Dan here with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good morning.
We are all here.
Okay, we'll take a look at the agenda. Is there any additions, Mr. Ewing?
Mr. Chairman, I have some additions to the consent agenda. Under item 2, please add on commissioner warrants for 5/11 of 20. Those were just dropped off on the desk this morning. And the amount is $4,338.86. And then also receive travel expenses from the auditor's office for Commissioner Wildermuth as well for March and April for per diems and meetings. I'd like to add that as well to the consent agenda. Other items I have here at 9:45 a.m. County Attorney Sandy will be here for the Magellan Pipeline right-of-way issue with Engineer Bergman. Also, when we're done with that, County Attorney Sandy would like to remain and discuss with the board a hiring recommendation for a new assistant county attorney. So if we can handle that right after that. If we don't have time before the 10 o'clock public hearing, we can just go ahead and take that up after. We can just put that on hold and do that afterwards. After that, I would like to add, approve the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Joint Powers Agreement from Carrie Bendix. That came in with one minor change on it, so that would be up for board approval today, so that would be an action item. So that would be the WIOA Joint Powers Agreement. Last time, you remember, we sent it back to them with no changes on it, and she got it back from all the rest of the counties, and it's now ready to go for action on our part. So she sent that out yesterday. That will be for the term July 1st of 20 through June 30th of 2022. Also, I'd like to add a Pipestone Chamber request for use of the courthouse grounds for Water Tower Festival in August. That'll be an action item.
Those can be at any time, right? We can.
Yeah, we can just hit those whenever we can just those as other business. Also, I would like to discuss fairgrounds usage during the pandemic, and specifically at 10:45 a.m. I would like to add County Assessor Joyce Smith to talk with the board about the upcoming County Board of Adjustment and Equalization meeting to be held on June 15th. To see how we're going to schedule that. And one more thing under other business. Sorry about all the add-ons, but they came on quick since Friday. I have a quote for the Lexon panels, what we're going to call the COVID-19 screens for the offices in the courthouse. I'd like the board to take action on those. I have those with me today too. So that can just be an add-on at any time. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. Sorry about, again, all the additions.
Okay, anything else to add, or we'll like hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? In favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Then we'll take a look at the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
Motion by Chris,
Second.
second by Les.
Chris and Les.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
Okay, then Nick's already in his chair. Ready to go. Listen to Nick's report here, so.
Hey, first up for me, I'm gonna summarize the project updates. The first update I have is the third project down on that first page. It's our 2020 box culverts, first contract. The 2 suite township structures have been installed. And the one by Hatfield, they're actually working on finishing that up right now. Looks like we're gonna be a couple days short of being able to do the one by Holland yet this spring, so they'll have to come back in the fall for that. Next update I have is the 2020 seal coats. I have a request for board action to award that here in a little bit. Moving on, next page, second project down would be our Casada 13 widening job. They started grading yesterday, so if you drive out there now, there's equipment everywhere, and they're working on that, so that's good news. And then my final update would be the next project on that list to be the Indian Lakes Trail. They told us they wanted to start working on it this week, so it'll probably be slow at first. It'll probably be like erosion control items, but might start to see some action out there soon then. So that's it for project updates.
Will they leave that open? Or close it?
It's gonna have to be closed for at least portions of it. Like on that hill, that bedrock that's kind of coming out of the ground, we're gonna dig down to that and put some crushed rock in there with some tile to try to keep the water out of that base, so hopefully we can extend the life of it, so. It'll have to be closed for a while, but we put in a contract, that they gotta give access to the residents, so they'll have to let them in one way or the other.
I noticed on the north side there was a bunch of heavy equipment moving around, a bunch of rocks and stuff like that. Is this tied in with that? Or?
No idea what that is.
I have no idea.
Not our project, so it must be private. They must be, I don't know, trying to pick whatever they can out of the pasture. I don't know.
Sure.
But I saw it too, but I don't know what it is. It's not our,
Okay.
not
Not tied
affiliated
in.
with us,
Okay.
so. So then, my next item would be, the award of the 2020 Seal Coat Project to Aztec Corp. For the bid amount of $412,152.41. Under request for board action, I have all the bids listed there. We didn't award at the opening because we didn't have all the paperwork checked out, the bonds and whatnot, so that all checked out fine, so I would recommend award to Aztec Corp.
Okay,
So moved.
Les made the motion.
Second.
Chris, any other discussion? Luke?
I was curious, were you gonna have any more done based on price, or is that just a typical price, or?
It came in well under the estimate. My estimate was based on, we had the weird little spike last year. I thought that was kind of planning for that to be the normal trend. So we didn't end up short on budgeting for other projects. So I think we kind of hit a weird little spike there that ended. All these bids are right in line, so that tells me that our estimate was probably too high versus the bids being, or, it could be some of that too, I guess, with the fuel prices down, but.
Right.
But no, I guess I didn't plan on necessarily doing any more. If our fuel prices stay down, which I think they will, we'd probably be better served doing a little bit more overlay next year or something, so.
Okay, any other questions for Nick? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Next item I have would be local road improvement program grant agreement. This is the grant for the Indian Lakes Trail. It's pretty much exactly like the bridge bonding agreements we always pass. They really just switched the title on it, so. Then also with that comes a resolution that the board needs to pass in order to get this grant.
Is this something we need to have action on?
Yes, you need to approve the grant and the resolution, because we have to insert the resolution into the approved grant. And then I believe you and Steve have to sign it.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval of the grant agreement.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second that.
Dan seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion motion passes.
So, that was for the grant agreement, correct?
Right.
Okay. So then, there is should have been a resolution in your packet too, that also needs to be passed.
That'll be Resolution 59-21-20.
Okay?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Okay, Les has moved to approve. I'll second it.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Dan, did you vote?
Yes, I'm an aye.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I didn't hear you. Thank you. Okay. Anything else, Nick?
Yep. I'm done with that grant, but I have a few more items. Next one would be, we need to update our prioritized bridge replacement list. When we submit to get funding started with the state, we have to have this list just showing that, I suppose, the county engineers at least got board approval and didn't just do it on their own. I don't think it's probably a bigger deal up in the cities when people are fighting over which one gets done first, you know, but, so that's all this is. We just updated it to reflect all the bridges that need replacement.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve Resolution 59-22-20.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Under discussion, Mr. Chair, Nick, how is this going to take care of our current problem then as far as buses and snowplows? Will this take care of those problem areas at this point, or we still have some other issues out there?
Those would have been already on the list. This would be the next wave of bridges with poor ratings that we're looking at getting replaced.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Next up, I have a request for board action to pay some, make some right-of-way payments on some upcoming bridge projects.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in, any other discussion? This is just two properties, Nick?
Correct. Yep. Yep, nothing unusual about them. I believe that the first one, it's a little bit more expensive than what we usually see. If it's the one I'm thinking of, which I'm pretty sure it is, there was some flooding there, and it kind of pushed a lot of material out into the field away, so we had to buy a little bigger easement to go clean it up, so. A temporary easement, that is.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. I've been contacted, my next item here is I've been contacted a number of times by NextEra Energy. They're decommissioning some wind towers, so they need to pull out these gravel roads, and they're looking for a bunch of topsoil to fill these areas back in. They want, excuse me, they want to buy the topsoil off of our gravel pit farm. Looks like sounds like they're offering, they're not sure, they estimated $8 to $10 a yard, and they're looking for about 22,000 yards. I talked to Kyle about this a little bit. We would need to do a conditional use permit to do this. On top of that, I feel like it would probably impact our rent going forward, and it'd probably impact our resale. They've also pitched trading gravel for used gravel for topsoil and then paying us a little bit on the difference. Personally, if this is my farm, I probably wouldn't do it, but it's not my farm, so I need to run this by you guys, but it's probably more implications than just the, what we get, roughly $200,000, say, and I just feel like it's probably not worth that, a lot more headaches coming than that, but but it's not my call. I guess that's why I'm
Will we
here.
need this soil later to reclaim or recover some of our
Yep.
area?
If everything works out great as we're stripping in the future to mine more gravel, I would like to pick that material up and haul it to the pit floor, and hopefully we can re-farm it, re-rent it out, you know. I think it's worth a shot, you know. It probably won't be as good as it was, you know, but, you know, we could maybe even sell this farm in 100 years when it's all used up, but, so, that's why I wouldn't do it if it was mine, but, you know, that's not my choice, so I kind of wanted to see what you guys had to say about it today.
I guess my feeling would be just in favor to just keep it, because we,
Sure.
on the road, it might be more valuable for one thing, and we might need it for
Sure.
county purposes.
Nope, that's fine. I will pass that along to them. I just didn't want to,
I think we need
Make
an
that-
formal action on that or anything, do we? Or
consensus is fine. I'll just tell them I talked to the board about it, so.
One other thing, Mr. Chair, might want to look at would be if this was a deal for them, would others want to basically give us a bid for doing the same thing? You know, just
Yeah, I guess
looking
if-
at preferential treatment
Right.
to a company when we're dealing with county funds, we might want to, you know, if we're going to do that, we'd probably want to say, okay, we're going to put this out, do it in a public manner.
well, Double D or somebody else might want to buy some dirt too, so then
Exactly.
we'd have to set a price that.
Yeah, I,
Set a price and sell it that way if we're going to do that.
I suppose it could hurt our local contractors. We don't sell anything now. We never have. We use all that material for ourselves, so it'd change up what we're doing with
Probably
that.
wiser just to leave it as it is, but
I think so too.
I agree.
Why limit your options going forward, you know, or limit the saleability of it in the future?
Yep. Yep, that's, I'm right.
Any comments?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I concur that we should keep it. I also wonder if by selling, if we were to sell this, if that would impact our standing with the state as far as the quarry operation there. Now we're no longer just peeling back the black dirt and taking the gravel out and backfilling. Now we're selling the black dirt, and that might impact our standing. So I concur with you guys. We're better off keeping this dirt for our own use and not selling it.
Okay. No, I agree 100%, so. Okay, that's what I will tell them.
No action.
Next up, I have a request for board action for 2 seats of Civil 3D software. That's our design software. If you remember, we budgeted some money for GPS back in 2017, a little bit more in 18. Most of our GPS work happened in the beginning of 18, so we deferred to 19 in hopes of getting the newest, you know, hardware for equipment. And then there was some left over for a software upgrade. Our current software was working, so instead of just replacing it then, as we're getting new computers, I guess the old stuff doesn't work with Windows 10, so so we stretched that as far as we could, and now we need to upgrade that. So there was $10,481 left for software. 2 seats would be $4,630, and we might need a third. I'm not totally convinced on that, but it didn't help getting 3 versus 2. There was no price break, so I think we should just go with 2 for now, and then if we find out we need that third one later, then we just buy it later, since there's no price break for doing 3 instead of 2.
Is the technical support ongoing then?
Yes, I maybe should have added that here now that you bring up technical support. There was another place, maybe, oh yeah, I did put that in here. There's another one that was about $80 less, but I didn't even really count them because there was no tech support for that. I just thought it's kind of apples to oranges, really, like $80, no technical support, like, you know, that's not good, so.
But I mean, is the technical support you get with this quote for the life of the software, or is there an annual fee?
I want to say it's annual doing this, but.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I've got a couple questions for Nick.
Okay.
Have you had Bill involved in the discussion? Is he in the loop on this?
Yeah, well, when they tried to, our main drafter got a new computer, and when they tried to set all that up, they found out that the old software wouldn't work anymore with Windows 10.
Yeah, so Bill's been involved in the discussion. He recommends this as well. Is that what I understand?
I believe so. I guess I need to confirm that, but that's how I took it. But that's not the direct words I got, I guess, so.
Okay. Then the other part of my question would also be, how does our CPT help with this? Is this the type of software that through our cooperative group or our county partnership that we can save money going through them, or this is completely separate from what they can do for us?
Dan, are you thinking, excuse me, are you thinking Minnesota County's Computer Cooperative MCCC?
Yes.
CPT is a whole different ballgame than what doing. That's pretty much our HR and other softwares. But I don't know if it's
turned around.
Yeah, I don't know if MCCC has anything to do with this or not. I have my doubts, and unfortunately, Bill is not in the office this week. I could give him a call and get back to you before we adjourn the meeting. We take a break. I can call him and
Right.
double check with that if you'd like. But
And I can, and when we take a break, I can check on if this is yearly or permanent. I can get an answer for you on that too, so. Maybe we just
Yeah,
wait with that
that
one
would
then.
be fine if you can do that reasonably. Don't jump through a bunch of hoops, but I just want to make sure that Bill's is included in the discussion here, and he agrees that we're going forward in the right direction with any software.
Okay. All right, yeah, I will check on that during break here. Next item I have would be our new sign truck. This equipment is kind of like a plow truck. We buy a truck chassis, then we buy a sign truck body that gets fitted on there. We've never bought a truck like this before, so as you'll see, we were off on our budget, but we budgeted $180,000 for this. The preliminary estimate on the sign truck body is about $135,000 plus tax. The build date on the body is out 10 to 12 months, so that wouldn't show up till 2021. So we'd budget for the remainder of that cost for 2021 when we'd have to pay. But the problem we're running into now is that due to COVID-19, we're not allowed to go to the truck body place and finalize that deal. Sounds like Kenworth understands that. And they said if we'd be willing to get board approval, we don't want to buy it right now because we want to make sure that this truck body is going to fit right. I don't have any doubts really that they can make it work, but it's a lot of money, so we want to do our homework on the matter and make sure we're good to go. But Kenworth said they would honor this year's price if we at least got board approval to do it. They would take that as commitment to move forward on it, and then hopefully in a couple weeks or a month or something, we can get this truck body thing straightened out and then pull the trigger on it. So as you'll see, we got two quotes, one from Kenworth, one from Freightliner, for the same truck, 7-axle truck, automatic transmission, 300 horsepower. Kenworth's a couple thousand cheaper than Freightliner. So I guess I'd recommend going with the low bid from Kenworth, but and it's a little different than what we usually do things, but we're, yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'd
Mr. Chair, if I may, a couple questions for Nick. What truck are we replacing? How old is it, and how much is it used?
It's used probably about every day. It's 2001 or 1999, somewhere in there. It's about 20 years old. We put one or two transmissions in it already. it's well used. It's pretty well used up. And then I guess the trade-in value on that would come off the balance of this too, but I'm guessing it probably wouldn't be a whole lot. $5,000 somewhere in there. It's,
Taxes.
yeah, it's a well-used unit.
I guess my thought, Nick, was just like with that tractor that we bought to haul our big trailer that we're going to be getting. We saved a lot of money by getting a used tractor.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, I realize you don't want to buy something that's already wore out. I'm not saying that. But my thought process is, because this particular truck isn't vital as far as snow removal or hauling gravel and so forth, that if this truck happens to be broke down for a day, it's not going to be a crisis situation. And I'm just wondering, again, the amount of usage that we get off this truck, because maybe I'm minimizing the importance of the sign truck, but I just don't see it as a critical part of the fleet. I wonder if it'd be worth at least looking at what savings we could have by trying to find a good used vehicle for this purpose instead of going out and buying a brand new one. And part of my thought process is anticipating some tighter economic times coming up.
Yep. So what we have now for a sign truck is like a 1-ton pickup or 1.25-ton pickup. It's probably why we've had some of the issues with it we've had. It's just not big enough to do that job. So this newer sign truck here we'd be looking at would double as a service truck for us. We spend a fair amount of time loading up a generator and stuff like that in a pickup when we go to do a culvert repair, versus this truck, we could store those tools on it, so that'd save us quite a bit of time there. So that's part of the difference we have going on here too. It's not it's not a plow truck, it's our sign truck. Does that help?
Well, it does. We're making quite a jump from a 1-ton truck to a big Class 7 Kenworth or Freightliner, and here we're just talking the chassis. We don't even know what the body's going to be as we go down by here. You're looking at maybe another $135,000 for total.
Correct, for the body, yeah, with the crane and everything.
Yeah. So not disputing, it's very nice to have a mobile shop with a big generator, air compressor, hoist on the back, and so forth, and side bodies with room for all your tools. That's great, but can we really justify that expenditure? I guess is what I'm asking.
Nick, what's your life expectancy? How long do you think you'll keep this truck over?
I would
It's a
expect to
20-year
keep this
truck, too?
another 20 years, yeah.
20-year truck?
Yeah, we'd keep this one a lot longer than like a plow truck. They have a 7-year turnover or whatever. This would be about 3 times that.
And you use it every day.
Probably about every day. Trevor works for, every day he's in our office for sure, it would get used.
See that thing coming and going all the time, every day, it seems like.
Yeah, it is,
And she's in pretty rough shape, too.
well, yeah, it's been
Nick, with
days.
the length of time we're talking about here, 15, 20 or maybe or longer years, are these bodies galvanized or aluminum or stainless steel? I'm just concerned about the body rusting away after 10 years. It's out every day in the winter. And
God, I don't remember what.
I guess I would be concerned about the quality of the body too. That we
Yeah.
get something that isn't going to rust out and have holes in it in 10 years. But that'd be just something to ask whoever builds the body.
Right, and I can check on that during the break too, what kind of body we were looking at, but.
Doug,
Doug's here.
It's a galvanized body, aluminum doors.
Okay, so it's not just a,
I doubt if we can get any rust now.
okay. Some of this stuff, if it's just mild steel, it won't last hardly,
I wouldn't worry about the rust
Okay.
part.
Dan, did you hear that?
Yep, I did.
Okay.
Um,
Galvanized
I
body
guess this galvanized body.
and aluminum.
I don't mean to be ultra frugal on this, but I wonder if at least warrants taking a look at the used market and see what might be out there. I think there's a lot of these big service trucks available.
I don't know that you could find something specialized that would fit your exact needs, but you could find a running gear, I would imagine, a chassis or something we could get, but.
Yeah.
No, I mean even a complete service truck. These fleets, there's a lot of those out there that are set up with generators, welders, a little boom on them, the whole works. At least be worth taking a look at and see what the market is. If that's not too much of a hindrance for you, like I said, I don't mean to muck up the works here, but I wonder, in the light of, again, the economic forecast, if we'd be better off going a little slow on this and not just jumping right into it.
Nick, is this something you could bring back a month from now? And is there a time you have to order the truck?
Yeah, I believe the contract expired the end of April, but they said, they would hold that price till May, but, if you want, that's what we'll do.
How much is the price difference in a given year?
Do you know right offhand, Doug?
It varies, 5% or something probably for next year. Something like that.
You're looking at several thousand.
Looking at a few $1,000s, yeah. Yeah.
And I was just thinking if you had 30 days or something like that, or even a couple of weeks to look around at the used market a little bit and look on the internet and see what else is out there, Doug.
The body itself is very specialized. We're going to put signs in there.
Okay.
So there's compartments that hold the
Oh.
signs.
Okay, so
But
it isn't going to be very easy to find an exact.
Well, I know what Dan's saying with a service body or service truck, mechanic type service truck.
Right.
But that won't be set up for.
What you guys
sign
want it for.
storage, especially.
Okay.
And we have our own generator and welder and stuff now, right?
We have a little mobile generator. I'm not,
Well, the sign truck would have a new air compressor, crane, torch. It won't have a generator on it.
Okay.
We do have a pretty new generator that we just load up and use as needed.
Well, I know it's really expensive, but everything is. But if we're looking at a 20-year, perhaps longer life of the truck, I guess you got to overlook a little bit of the. But if you buy a used truck with 100 or 200,000 miles on it, that's not going to last you 20 years either.
No.
Rick,
So, you know,
And you won't get what you want.
no. So I
Doug, do you think it would be accurate to say that new one would last 20 years? I guess the old one did, so I figured this one for sure would, but, okay. So maybe
I
even
think
longer.
due to the specialized nature, that it'd be better to just get the new one. And
Is there any
been
option, like
budgeted.
I see some of these heavy-duty Dodge and Ford running gears like F-450s and that kind of thing with, is there anything like that you could put a body on that would be,
That's,
truck wouldn't be a whole lot cheaper, but maybe I don't know if the body's a big part of this, so.
that's kind of where we're at now, and we're wearing it out at an accelerated rate. It's just, it's
Okay.
not as big as it should be.
The body of the truck is expensive, but, $70,000, I see some new pickups over here at the Chevrolet dealer that are 80. Farmers are buying them, so, yeah, it sounds like a lot of money, but in today's world, it's really not that much.
Sure.
So, my feeling would be to go forward with it and get it coming. If we need it, we're gonna need it sometime, and it's gonna take a couple of years to make this happen,
Yeah.
at least a year, or, we don't know, so,
I guess I had made a motion to approve, so.
okay.
I would second.
We have a motion and a second. We know Dan's got concerns about it, and I think we all do about the cost of it, but if it's something we need and
Specialized.
spread it out over a period of 15 or 20 years or more, then it's probably all right, but.
Mr. Chair, Steve, we had budgeted for this too, right? For a couple of years now?
Yep, we've been,
Putting in for the last couple of years on this.
yep, and I'll have to put in a little bit more next year to finish off the box, but everything is there we need, now that we need for the trucks.
And we wouldn't have to modify it from, if you bought something on the market that wasn't quite what you wanted, you'd have to modify it, change it to fit whatever you want, and.
Probably. I would imagine most people probably, that buy these probably run them until they're junk,
Right.
they don't just trade them every few
If
years.
you buy an old body that's used, you're gonna have probably some rust in it already, and if the new one is, kind of I wouldn't say rust-proof, but at least it's materials that are gonna last longer than an old, something you'd buy off a lot somewhere.
Yeah, I believe what we have now is metal, correct, Doug?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the one we have now is really homemade, the whole thing was homemade.
Oh, okay.
And that's been there, actually, this is the second truck chassis that body's been on. It was on an old Chevrolet truck Kodiak when I came, and then we got the chassis we have now, we just switched that to this one, so the body that we have is probably 40 years old, I'm not sure exactly.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, this would be just for the truck for now?
Correct.
And the body would come later?
Yep, I just wanted to give you the heads up on the whole situation now. That's why I talked about the rest of it.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Yeah, I'm opposed.
Okay, we have one opposed, okay. Okay, thank you, Nick. Anything else for us today, or?
Yeah, a couple other items, some maintenance updates. We had a pretty busy month, did a lot of little things. I guess I'll hit on some of the big ones. We took the road postings off on April 20th. We've been running our shouldering disc. We've been sweeping in towns, and then been using our new blade packer. If you wanted an example, on 8th Avenue Southwest, if you head south out of town, you can see we used it there, and I think it did a really nice job.
It did, it really
Yeah,
did.
I'm really excited to see some of the other results going forward, and may very well be something we want to purchase another one of, so. But we got the one for now, and it's working great for now, so we'll keep you posted. So the last item I have, I believe in your packet, there was the annual report for the highway department. Typically, we hand that out, and then I answer some questions on it. And then I'll bring it back on the agenda again next month for follow-up items. Just curious if you guys had a chance to review it yet, or had any questions on it, or?
I didn't see anything myself.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll,
You can look that over.
yep, I'll try to remember to put it on the agenda again for next month, and we can,
Questions on it or whatever?
yep, I sent it to the state already. They didn't have any issues. They signed and returned it, so. All right, well, the only two items I have left then would be the civil 3D question, but I'll go make a phone call on that, try to find that out now. And the Magellan pipeline issue, but I believe Demain's gonna be here in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
He should be here for that. You know, he did some looking into it, so, yeah.
We've got some other stuff we can deal with in the meantime. We'll kind of wait for
Did you have any other questions for me right now? Otherwise, that's it for right now.
questions for Nick until he comes back.
Okay. Okay. All right, sounds good. I'll go make some phone calls.
The main is in hearings right now. As soon as he gets done, he'll come down.
What about the panels for the courthouse? Is that something we can handle quickly? The plexiglass panels,
Yeah, we'll get that.
or whatever else you got there,
No,
whatever's
that's
on top's
What
fine.
do you want to do? Get that taken care of and get going with it.
Hey,
Thank you.
this is something we probably didn't budget for, so it's a kind of a gray area.
No, it's not budgeted for. Mr. Chairman and board members, what I have here is a quote from Ultimate Woodworking to put up Lexan panels. It's called quarter-inch Lexan panel with oak frames on fastened panels and painted maple frame on our freestanding desk units. So what we're looking at is basically COVID-90 screens made out of the Lexan to protect staff and employees from anyone who may come in and cough, sneeze, whatever, and have some sort of a barrier. Envision the screens to be approximately 48 inches tall with a frame around the whole unit, and it would be attached to the countertops. There would be a cutout to pass papers, documents underneath, basically 6 inches tall by whatever width works well for the department. So we'd have those in the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, the recorder's office. We would, since the assessor's office doesn't have any counter anymore, we would put up the panels on 2 desks in there. The front desk as you walk in where Kim is, and then we'd also put one on where Lisa's desk is too. She's the second one in back, so there would be 2 panels mounted to the desk, so it just served as a shield for them. In the recorder's office, I talked to Mary Ann. It wasn't this week, the week before. She was out last week and Gretchen was in. But Mary Ann is looking at rearranging the front of her office. She's got, right now her countertop is there, which part of it would go on, and then she's got 2 file cabinets that make kind of a blockage that run in her office kind of north-south. She wants to take those 2 file cabinets and move those to be in line with the countertop and have it run the length of it, and then have an opening near the windows on the west side, and then she would have that space where a copier is now, turn that into the public-facing space for anybody that comes in, and they would bring out the material and basically be keeping people out of the vault as much as they can. We also had one to be made over at the EMS, would just be on the top counter where Danielle sits, and also in the veterans desk to work on Renee's area. Hers is a very small area, so trying to get something for her in there as well. And then also in probation office as well, where Judy's at. Right now she's got part of looks like a cubicle stand that holds up. It's a counter where you can lean on. There's a shelf on it, and that would be a partial one in that office as well. Also in here is the remodel of the family services front area where the glass panels are now. There would be an adjustment to the countertop that's there and replacing the side windows with the Lexan out there as well. This has been on the project list for 2 years since virtually I started. We started on that. Building committee was involved in that, and now the time is right to do that. I did attempt to get 2 prices. I worked with Wayne on it. Wayne got a hold of another gentleman named Jason Yost. However, he called back on Friday and said he's not interested in doing it. So we have the quote from Ultimate Woodworking. The cost would be $5,905 for the courthouse, EMS, and probation, and $2,020 for the family services. And we would budget, would come out of the budget for the public services building out of that one. Then everything else would come out of the county budget for this. It is possible, I'm not gonna say it's for sure, but there's a possibility that we could possibly get this portion of it covered, maybe 75% from FEMA under Category B, under emergency protective measures. Possibly, I won't say it's for sure, but we're certainly going to have Casey go ahead and put it in for that.
Okay.
So it's worth a shot anyway. Because we are going to be opening the building at some point, and the virus is not going away, and we don't want to have coughs and sneezes, and we've got to have a barrier between our employees and people. Every other county I'm talking to is doing the same thing in some way, shape, or form, either with Lexan, or some of them already have forward-facing panels, glass panels in their offices where they're able to deal with the public as well. So we just got to have some sort of protection there. So I bring this forward and recommend that we go with Ultimate Woodworking to get this going. My recommendation.
Steve, is there any time frame on this? Did this guy, can he get on it right away? Or?
He has the Lexan ordered. He is able to get it, so he's got that on order already, assuming that we would go forward with it. He wasn't too worried. He'll be doing something for others as well. Right. He's been busy doing other projects. But Ryan would come in on Thursday. Wayne already talked to him to come in and finalize what we're going to do on Thursday this week. So the timing is right to get it done now so we can move forward with it and get going. So it would be as soon as possible.
Okay. And this would be a permanent installation kind of thing, it's not gonna be a temporary thing, so.
Is that a question on the family service portion? Does that actually cover the
That
whole
front
space
entry-
then? I mean, so there's not like an opening above or? Yeah.
The whole thing would,
Okay.
it would
We've
take care of
talked
that
about
window
that
that's
for
there.
years.
Right.
Yeah. And they would increase, there's a slot there, they're gonna increase that too, so they're able to get underneath of it, so they wouldn't have that one window pane anymore there.
Okay. Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the bid from Ultimate Woodworking for these two projects.
Dan made the motion to approve.
Second.
Les seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. We have Domain here now, and you want to move on with the pipeline thing, Nick? That's just information, right? Or,
Well,
well, we'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
So this is in regard to the Indian Lakes Trail project. There's a Magellan pipeline crossing there. We take all utilities seriously, especially ones like that. Don't want to hit that. So we've been in contact with them for probably over a year now. They've been sending us a list of things they want to see in the plans and whatnot. And we've done all those so far. We thought we were squared away with them, and then now they're kind of moving the goalpost on us in the end here. They want us to sign some big encroachment agreement for being in their easement. Well, our road was there first, and they want some upgrades done to the pipeline now, like a casing, and they want us to pay for it. And they're trying to make it sound like we have to do this, and I just didn't think it felt right. So I checked in with Domain, and he said they can't make us do that. So instead of a demand, I'm more looking at that as a request from them that we sign this encroachment agreement and upgrade their pipeline casing, but I don't know, did I summarize that pretty well, Domain, or?
I don't know if you're gonna pick me up on Mike at all. Yeah, you summarized it pretty well. Essentially, what we saw was Magellan came through in the 1940s as Great Lakes Pipeline Company, and as Nick said, he already had roads in place. So the authority, the road authority was already established as a right-of-way. When Great Lakes came in back in the 40s, they basically came in and encroached on the public right-of-way. They went underneath the road. Now I think they're turning it backwards, thinking that they have a superior right to the road authority, which they don't. So there was an encroachment agreement they sent to Nick saying we need someone to sign this. Well, Nick doesn't have the authority to enter into that agreement on behalf of the county. That would be a county board thing. I said, don't sign it, because they got it backwards. We're not encroaching on their easement. We're not touching it. We're just doing what the road authority can do, which is to work within the right-of-way. So there's no obligation of the county to enter into this encroachment agreement with Magellan, because it would give it rights superior to what it has now, and give it rights over the county. As for the other issues, obviously, I think Nick, the highway department's taking it pretty seriously. You don't want to hit that pipeline.
No.
And so you do what you can to, appease Magellan, but don't give them rights more than they have. Yeah, go ahead.
On the flip side, if they wanted to do something with their pipeline in the future and they damage our road to make that fix, would they then be obligated to pay to fix our road?
They would be.
Yeah.
The existing agreements that are out there, they're really bare bones. Great Lakes and then Williams Brothers and now Magellan has the right to go in to install, fix, repair, replace, and do what's necessary for their pipelines. But it also says any damage that they cause, whether to crops or anything else, they have to fix or pay to get fixed. So, those agreements are very, very, it's a single paragraph, really, what the rights and obligations are. They're not detailed by any means.
So we would be within our right to just tell them flat out no, and, if you want to fix this thing, you better do it before we do the
Yes.
road?
That's how,
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Well, then we just have to give Nick the authority that he presented it to the county board and the county attorney, and we don't feel like they have any cause for,
yes.
for, 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 we're not responsible for unless we wreck it or hit it.
Sure. So,
That's what the bond is for.
so, I guess that's what I'm asking for today. I mean, if that's how you guys want me to respond to them, that's what I'll do, so.
Yes.
'Cause then the contractor would be responsible if they were to hit it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
and their bond would cover that.
Yep, and we're filling over top of this pipe for the most part. We're working around this as much as we can. We definitely don't want to be hitting that thing.
How
so.
deep is it?
I think it's like 20 inches now in one spot, and we're adding like a foot or so. In the end, it'll have over a foot extra fill on top of it when we're done with it, so it'll be more protected than it is now.
20 inches really isn't that far down.
No, it's not. No,
Is this
it's,
a natural gas thing or?
I think it's petroleum, yeah. High pressure petroleum, so. So that's just this project that are on our County Road 13 project as well. I haven't got the same information or demands, whatever, from them on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that comes. So if you want me to say the same thing to them on that one, I certainly will. But I'll just tell them that,
I would
we're
think
not
it'd
gonna
be the same
sign
thing
this.
unless there's some other wording in their contract that goes back. Maybe Domain, we should have to take a look at that one too, if that ever comes.
I haven't seen anything more than what he was referencing back 60 years ago or whatever.
Really nothing else that we can do or get involved with, so.
No, as far as I know, Great Lakes, that was Magellan's powers all go back to Great Lakes. And since those original easements were entered into with the landowners back in the 40s to establish the pipeline, there have been no other agreements between any pipeline company and any other landowner to expand the original rights.
It's a little bit off the subject, but what is this pipeline made out of? Is it steel?
I think so, the way they talk.
Seen it? Does it look corroded? Is it rusty? At some point, is this thing
Just the
gonna
fact it's almost 80 years
rust
old
out
makes me a
and
little
just
nervous.
start leaking all over the place, or who's, I don't know what it's made out of, but anything that age that's underground I would think it'd be at least 50% gone by now.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen it myself. We've never exposed it. I don't really want to see it.
So
So,
that's fine, but I just was curious.
so I'll just respond to them then that we're not going to sign that. And if they want to upgrade their pipeline, they can, and I can give them our contractor's information if they want to work with him. But
Okay, anybody else have any?
They can if the government lets them.
yeah.
Maine, would a motion be in order to authorize the engineer to sign that so we have board record of it?
Well, no.
Or does it matter?
He's not gonna sign anything, that's the thing. You're not gonna sign the encroachment agreement, so I
Oh.
think you're not gonna be entering into an agreement with Magellan.
We're really not
It's just
changing
gonna say,
anything.
We're not gonna do it.
Okay.
As far as we're concerned, it is what it is. We're gonna leave it just the way it was, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But you could suggest if they want to make that improvement, they better do it quickly if the crew's going to start working on it.
Yes. Yep. That's why I was going to reference our contractor that we have out there, if they want to hire them to do it. Maybe that would work out well for them, make more sense, so.
Sounds like that's what we're gonna do. Nothing.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Nick?
Yep, I did. I talked with our senior technician there. That Civil 3D Autodesk, that subscription is good for 1 year and it's full support for the entire year for both of those licenses. So, I think that was your only question about it, right?
And yeah, what is the cost after that, or?
It's a subscription. We used to be able to buy the software, and then we just owned it. But they don't sell it like that anymore. You gotta buy a
So they
subscription.
get an
for-
annual fee?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, because I suppose people like us, we were stretching it on
As long as it would last.
as long as it would run, and instead of upgrading every year, and they didn't like that, so they wanted the upgrades every year. And
Sure.
Sure, we call those licenses, which we're very well aware of. We spend a lot of
Right.
money on licenses.
Yeah.
Right, that's what you get.
Yeah, so, we looked around, there's no, that's what we gotta do now with it, but sport is good for both licenses for a full year, so.
I'd move
Okay.
for approval then for that software.
Okay, Luke made a
Second.
motion, Les seconded it. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor, motion passes. Anything else for Nick today, or?
All right, that's all I had, so.
You have 7 minutes if you want to tell us anything else before Tyler has to come up here.
What we talked to Domain about is
I think we're good to go.
attorney.
Oh, sure.
Okay, if that's something you
Got
can.
Domain here, he's probably got another hearing, don't you?
10:45.
Okay.
Okay.
We, is this?
Well, yeah,
Okay,
have a
thanks,
good day.
Nick.
Well, last Friday, we interviewed someone via Zoom that both Scott and I are actually want to jump on and get an offer to. The person has 4 years of experience in a county attorney's office in Minnesota, 2 years in private practice doing law similar to what we do in the private practice. Presents herself very well. Family, got some twins. Husband's going to relocate. They're down in Florida right now, but she has Minnesota ties. Went to Billy Mitchell. Worked in the sewer. Worked in Carver County. Wants to get back up this way, and we're excited. And so we asked her during the interview, "What's your price point?" And she told us, and it was a little bit higher than what we looked at her price point. For a joint county and private law firm thing. And so I looked at it and said, well, I'm going to go to the commissioners and see whether or not you guys would agree to up the salary for the assistant county attorney from what we had set for Cassie, which was 40, what did I have in that email?
48, I believe, was it?
About 48, and bump it to 55. I mean, I know it's a jump. From a practical standpoint, we're not looking at a starting date possibly July or August. So of that 48,000 that was allocated to Cassie, half it's not going to be used this year.
Right.
So we have that as a savings, and I'm not gonna come into the board saying, hey, let me use some of that because I've been doing her job. I think that money is better spent or better sitting there. And if we can use that to lure in and bait an assistant county attorney to fill the need that we have here by jumping from 48 to 55, with the remainder of the price point being met by the private office, we can probably have someone saying yes. Like I said, the starting date, if she says yes, if we can meet the price point, it's going to be dependent on her selling her house, her and her husband selling their house, and they're down in Florida right now. So they're going to have to sell their house, find a place up here. And we were surprised, but I think one of the reasons that she contacted us and answered our ad was her husband is a pilot for Delta, and right now they're furloughed. And so they're looking at moving where he still has a Delta hub and a Delta connection available, so when the furlough is lifted, he will still fly. And Sioux Falls is there, and they fly Delta out of Sioux Falls, and he can get, if he's got to fly out of Minneapolis, he can get from Sioux Falls to Minneapolis to hop a flight. So, this is actually a good location for him, what she's looking at. So I guess my request would be to amend what we had there, take that assistant county attorney allocator for Cassie and bump it up to 55,000 for a new attorney to start. I know it's a lot of money, but it's your call.
I know it's really hard to get an attorney to come to a rural county. I guess I'd make a motion to approve the request.
Okay, Luke made the motion.
I would say.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. We'll let Dan have that one, Les. Doesn't work out,
I
it's
do have a
on,
question for the
it's on
main.
you, Dan, if it doesn't work out.
Will this new position then, will there still be a need for Scott Bardusen to do some county work as well too, or will this new person absorb all of Scott's responsibilities?
No, the new person is going to absorb Cassie's responsibilities. For what Scott does, he's going to continue doing that, but Scott's been talking that, some point, and I don't know how long in the future, he is thinking about retiring. I don't know if we get a new attorney in, if it's going to be end of the year, end of next year,
but he's talking about it. And so when he retires, obviously, he's gonna retire from the private practice and he's gonna retire from the public.
Okay. We don't
I
know
don't
the,
recall offhand, what do we pay Scott for his contribution to county work?
What we pay him for, he does the examiner of title stuff for the courts. He's also been a backup for me for as long as I've been here. I mean, if I can't make it to court, he will go to court for me. He is advisory in a capacity. You know, Scott's been around a long time, you gotta admit that. You know, not to say that he's old, but he's been around a long time.
His experience.
Yeah, and he's been with the county attorney's office since, I believe he started with Jim back in like 1982.
Yeah.
So you got 38 years there of knowledge and experience, you know, that is a bouncing point sometimes, you know, just to go off of that senior experience and say, what do you think about this one, is what's helpful.
We've been on the law library committee. We actually nominated him chair of that. So he's tremendous help there.
Yeah, I agree. Scott's not old, because I think we're about the same age. He's not old at all.
You're not old, Dan.
What is Scott's salary? I don't know what his compensation is for the work that he does for us. I don't recall.
It's about 25, 26, somewhere right in there, I believe.
I have
Okay.
it.
Kathy's got
What-
it.
It's 29,335.
29, 330 something.
29,335, Dan.
29, yep.
Yep, 29,335.
So this new position then won't be assuming any of Scott's responsibilities, so it wouldn't be logical to shift some of his wage to this new person, because Scott will continue to do what he's been doing. That's what I understand.
Yeah, Scott will continue to do what he's been doing. The new person is going to assume the responsibilities that I had delegated to Cassie.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Are you comfortable with that? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. All in favor, what's it, motion passes.
Well, on behalf of the office and me, I thank all of you.
And hopefully you can contact and get things moving and at some point.
I'm hoping we can get in touch with her today and that we get an answer immediately, if not immediately, within a day. And that, you know, I can come back here and say, we gotta hire. And within the next month or two, if she can come up here and start looking for housing, her and her husband, I can bring her down and introduce her. Like I said, I think we were impressed from the presentation, from the background, the educational background, the small town aspect of it. Everything just seemed to fit. It just seemed to click. So, but let's keep our fingers crossed.
You got 45 minutes to make your phone call.
Get a hold of Scott when I get back to the office real fast. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jermaine.
You bet. Very encouraging.
Now it's 10:01. Tyler, can you
Yeah.
enlighten us about the next item here?
Morning.
Morning.
So this here for the public hearing for Stephen Core's home initiative abatement request. The abatement total for the 3 years is $3,638. I guess there was some concern about the project being started. First off, we've never gone by the public hearing date. It's always been when the public hearing date has been set. That's the county policy. I will say that this particular abatement request got lost within some papers for a little bit. So I know for a fact that when we approved the public hearing date, he had not started the project. So just looking for the request to approve that abatement.
I would move to approve, but I do have one question.
Okay, Luke?
Yeah.
The amount listed on the public hearing notice is different from the amount on the abatement estimate?
Oh, that was corrected before it got published, I believe.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
1212 is the right number?
It's the 3,000, it's the 1212 per year
Okay.
for the abatement total of 3,638 for all 3 years.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Chris made second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Anything else?
Got a Very good. How's your preparations for the election coming? Any?
Well, actually, kind of glad you brought that up. The state has finally determined what they're going to be doing with the elections this year. We're not going to do mail balloting this year the precincts that are already doing mail balloting, they are. We're not going to do statewide. We're going to have to get election judges at the polling places. We're going to have to do all of that. So all of that's staying exactly the same. The only thing that they really expanded, which I do appreciate from the election administrator side, they expanded the absentee ballot process into 2 weeks before the election instead of 7 days. That's nice for us because I'm assuming a very large increase in people wanting to vote by absentee this year, just strictly because no one's going to want to go to the polling place. All of our training, everything like that's going to be online this year. I personally do feel that the precincts are going to have trouble finding election judges this year. I truly do think that. The state's take on it, from what I heard, was kind of like just pay them more kind of a thing. That's not really, that's what people aren't really worried about. They're worried about their health and safety, especially when they're older generation that are election judges. So they did help us in the election administrator's side of it, but as far as all the dates, so like the filing period, they did not extend whatsoever. That's going to be the same, so that's next Tuesday until June 2nd. So that's going to stay the same, as well as the late filing period, end of July and into August. So none of the dates are changing. Obviously, on the notices, it says the state can change if they want, but with session ending this week, they're not going to be able to change the statutory deadlines. So that's all been passed. It's all been signed by the governor. So as far as elections go, not a whole lot's changing except for our administrator side of it. So,
What about local people that want to sign up or?
that's the filing. So that's next Tuesday until June
Are
2nd.
they going to be able to come in and get a hold of you? The door.
They can. Well, we're kind of opening a can of worms. They can email me, and I can email them a copy of the affidavit of candidacy. That's one thing that they did expand. Normally, that has to be hand-delivered to our counter. They did say that we can get those by email. So, I mean, they did help us a little bit there as far as the whole separation of people. But once we open up the county, we're going to be having the appointment set up, whenever that is. So we'll kind of play that by ear as of now. But if people do want to turn in an affidavit of candidacy, just get a hold of directly of me, and I'll be able to forward one on to them and get them all the supplies that they need.
Got a hold of Steve, he could point them in the right.
Correct, yeah. Get a hold of someone at the county. They just need to get a hold of me in the long run, and I'll get them and set up and get them filed. So, yep.
How many precincts do we still have doing live voting then?
Still in person?
Yeah.
5. So it's the Edgerton, Jasper, Trotsky. Well, Trotsky is actually switching to mail ballot now, which I do. That is good to hear. And then the 2 precincts in Pipestone. I know Jasper is going to be discussing switching again with all of the concerns currently. So we'll see. We could be down to 3, and that would be that's the lowest we can go with the current registered voter limits.
Woodstock and the others are also mail-in?
Correct. Yep. So we would only have, if Jasper were to change, the only precincts that can't switch to mail balloting would be Edgerton, Pipestone, and the 2 Pipestone precincts. Everybody else would be mail ballot. So.
Okay.
Just a comment, as far as election judges, we would provide masks if they want.
We can.
We'll do everything we can do
Correct.
to
Exactly.
make sure that they're safe for whoever's running. Well, the city's actually running the city precincts, aren't they?
Correct. The city's running their own precinct. I mean, if they want us as a county, if that's something we want to provide, I mean, it's not that hard for us. We can get reimbursements for that. Currently, I believe that we can get reimbursements for those kind of things right now. But the cities it's up to the cities to set up their polling places how they feel is necessary for their separation, and also hiring their election judges. So that's all cities' work there. So hopefully they can find somebody. I'm kind of concerned, like I said, but I do have a list. I'm helping out the cities with prior election judges that are a little younger that might be willing to step in. But I would say they will need to attend the training in a couple months here. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
I've got a question for Tyler yet before he goes, though.
Yeah.
Tyler, can we step up our information output then to the people as far as the absentee ballot, make sure that they realize, because if anybody has got concerns about the virus, if we let them know ahead of time that they can alleviate those concerns by filing for an absentee ballot, that should take care of it as well, wouldn't it? So if we could increase both on our website and maybe, I don't know if we'd have the ability to buy an ad in the paper, talking about the fact that you can circumvent the concern about having to come in by doing an absentee ballot.
By law, we have to do that anyways. We have to notify people that they can vote by absentee for the notice of the election. That has to be done before the 46-day window, as well as we have links to the Secretary of State's website and the applications that they can use for that. So, yeah, I mean, we could always publish more if we want, but
even more prominent, even kind of promote the absentee ballot.
right. I mean, if you want me to buy a front page ad in the paper, I mean, normally the paper does pretty good about notifying people that there's always large articles. I do know for a fact Pipestone Star is putting a large article in the paper that usually hits the front page. I can pay more for the larger notice. I mean, obviously that gets kind of buried in the legal notices. You know, that doesn't really. It's not the very prominent location, but I can talk to the papers to see if they're willing to do something. But like I said,
That'd be nice.
Yeah, like I said,
might even do part
they
of
usually
that,
do it on their own.
Article,
But
an article because of our measures to counter the virus. But yeah, I'm sure also we'll have to buy an ad as well too. So yeah, see what you can get done with the paper. See what they can do to help promote this.
Yep. They're usually pretty good about doing that. So, yep, we'll do.
Okay, thanks, Tyler.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tyler.
Do we want to take a little break, or do we want to start
Break?
10-minute break?
Sounds good.
Okay, that'd be
Recess
good.
at 10:11.
Be back in session here, 10:25. Got an assortment of things to talk about. What about the workforce
Okay, I'll
item?
answer that one quick. Mr. Chairman and board members, what we have here is the workforce agreement. I'll pass it out. It came in late, so I'll just have to pass it around. There was just a minor change on it, so one for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me, Mr. Chair and board members. Harry Bendix emailed me yesterday. States, "Happy Monday to you. Attaches the final version of the Southwest Minnesota Joint Powers Agreement. Thank you for your review and suggestions concerning the document. There was only one change from the draft that was sent on April 7th. That shows up in Article 3, item number 4. Okay, Item 3, number 4, which is on page 6. Article 3, number 4, I missed changing one council to Workforce Development Board. So that was the only change. The final version attached reflects that change. Please approve the final agreement at your Board of Commissioners meeting. Have chair and commissioner on the elected officials Joint Powers Board sign the agreement and send back as soon as possible or by June 30th. The agreement begins on July 1st. So that was the only change. So I would request a motion be approved for the Workforce Development Area 6, Southwest Minnesota WIOA Joint Powers Agreement for the term of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2022.
So move.
Chris made a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second, Dan.
Dan made the motion to second it. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Are you the rep?
Yep.
Okay, so when we're on here, you guys, I'll just go ahead and
Okay,
sign one and pass it down to Bruce. You pen? You got one.
got a Pipestone Chamber request for the Water Tower Festival.
Okay, I'll handle that one. It received a call yesterday, or excuse me, email yesterday from Tom Steffes at the Chamber. They are requesting possible use of the fairgrounds on August 28th through the 30th for the rescheduled Water Tower Festival.
The fairgrounds or the courthouse? Fairgrounds.
Excuse me, courthouse grounds.
Okay.
Courthouse grounds, excuse me. At one time, they had talked about the fairgrounds too, so, and it may actually switch, they may go out there too, depending what's going on too. So it's one of the two places, but at this time, we'll go with courthouse grounds on is what I have written down, so. So request would be to utilize courthouse grounds August 20th through 30th for rescheduled Water Tower
We're still
Festival.
gonna have the festival at this point, so,
Tentatively.
okay, that's fine.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for
I'll
approval.
move that approval.
Well, Luke made the approval. You want to second it, Dan?
Yep.
Okay.
I will second Luke's.
Good, thank
Okay.
you.
Les and Luke. Luke and Les, whatever.
Luke and Dan.
Luke and Dan, excuse me. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And you also have something for the fairgrounds.
Yeah, I just want to talk about this for a few minutes with the board, with the COVID-19 episodes that are going on, the pandemic. I just have some concerns about the use of the fairgrounds. I just want to bring it to the board and get your feelings on it. And what's going on is Diane Booker and her group have, it's called Smoke and Barrels. We approved that last year, and they have a certificate of insurance, so that's continuing again this year. Their first event is scheduled for May 16th, and they also have one scheduled for the 31st of May as well. Then they have one on June 27th, July 29th, and then they have a weekend event on August 23rd and 24th, and then one final one on the 13th. I talked to Diane yesterday, and I told her that she would not be able to hold the one on the 16th at all because the stay-at-home order from the governor had not been rescinded yet. And so as far as the 31st goes, it's out in the open. Other things we've got scheduled for the fairgrounds in June, talked to Wayne about it, and it's the Rates Cattle Show, which is June 5, 6, and 7, and the Berg Schmidt Cattle Show on June 19, 20, and 21. I don't know that we should or should not have the courthouse or the fairgrounds closed at this time. I'm concerned personally about COVID-19, having groups of people together, and they're at our property, and it's, don't know if we want to be, associated with something that could possibly spread the COVID disease around. We're trying to take a very firm stance on making sure we're safe. We're trying to protect our employees, and of course, we need to protect the public too. The issue I have, we don't know what the governor is going to do this week about the May 18th order. So I'm just throwing it out there for discussion at this point anyway. We can talk about it.
Luke?
Regardless of what the governor does, considering that most of the medical modeling suggests that we'll be in a peak situation in June in rural Minnesota and South Dakota and areas around us, I'm guessing it's maybe not the best idea to have a group event anywhere, or?
I talked about it and thought about it. I know I've talked to Kathy about it too and talked to others. Just in my mind, I think it might be prudent that we not have any events through the month of June. And if they can push them back into July and August, that type of thing, might be prudent on our part to protect the public.
Well, June's only 2 weeks away here, or,
3 weeks, yeah.
we're not very far from. Did you have a question or comment?
I'm Jenna Schmidt.
Oh, good.
So I just wanted to let you guys know kind of what some other people are doing in regards to these
Here, come on up. Have a seat, please. We'll get you.
events, so to speak. I've been toying with this too, right? Because we want to keep everybody safe, obviously, and not spread things if we can avoid it, right? So a few things that other places are doing, not within the state of Minnesota, but other cattle shows specifically, they're limiting no spectators at the events, stalling cattle with just immediate family, not commingling with other people. I mean, out there, it'd be very easy for us to fold up those bleachers so we don't have spectators sitting in the stands to keep people separated. Also, we're outside. It's a very well ventilated area. We have very few shared contact surfaces. The thing that comes to mind to me would be the bathrooms, obviously, and then the faucets out on the wash racks that people, but anything else, I mean, people are pretty, with their own livestock, handling stuff that they handle at home. Other things I think to consider, we could easily put in hand sanitizing stations out there for, throughout the area to keep people safe. As far as the county employees, I know that's a concern of everybody's, right? Because there's other things that have been put in place. Really, the only thing that we need Candy to do is to have those bathrooms, and those can be closed while she cleans them so that she's not interacting with other people, or I'm just trying to throw some other ideas out there and what other events have been doing to try to still have the events for these kids and families, but doing it in a modified manner to keep everybody as safe as we can. So I guess that's just a couple things to consider if anybody has any other.
How many people typically are at these events?
So this will be we've been doing this since 2007, I think was the first year we did it. And within the last 5 years, typically what it's been is about one person per head, because by the time you have other family members with, so about 150-ish people would be my guess, which would be a little bit less if we eliminate the no spectators and only immediate family members, the exhibitors and their immediate family members. So.
What dates were you thinking about?
We have currently the 19th through the 21st of June, which, again, we all don't know what the governor's going to say here in a couple days.
Right.
So, I mean, for me and my group, we have a little time, I feel like. I know Angie rates that's doing the one here in 10 days. I mean, that's a little bit
Yeah, it's
closer.
on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of June, first weekend in June. They've got
Yeah.
that one set for. It's a 3 weeks out now about.
Which, I mean, that's up to them,
Oh,
kinda.
agreed, yeah.
But just some things to kind of think about, I guess.
Well, I'd like to see us get things opened on a limited basis as soon as we can, but that's, the question is when will that happen?
Right.
And I think everybody probably kind of agrees that way, but until the governor gives us some kind of a leadership, if there is any available in the state, I don't know, but that would be a starting point for us to think about. And I don't think it's going to happen right away on the 18th, but I think by the 15th of June, we're going to see some things opening up.
I would hope
But
so.
I don't know. I mean, we don't know.
I know. I'm hopeful too. After his comment of the last one, he was going to watch the state of Georgia, who opened stuff up, right? And their numbers have started to decline.
Now, the Water Tower Festival is when, Steve, 25th?
Yeah, it's the weekend after.
Yeah.
So,
Ours.
and that would be another issue that may or may not happen if depending on the city's.
Right.
There'd be a lot more contact with people
Bill, I think we'll
close
know
together
more
there.
in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, the chamber's already basically canceled the Water Tower Festival for June. That's,
Oh, they have?
yeah, it's not gonna happen
Yeah,
in June.
That's what they
wanted, the
postponed it to August.
at the courthouse here. So they've already decided that wasn't gonna happen at all. The Fair Board hasn't met to discuss, they're gonna talk about even having the fair at some point in the next few weeks too, what they're gonna do on that. They need to probably pull the trigger on that by mid-June too.
Now, is your event something that you could possibly reschedule and move back a month or something like that, or isn't that?
Potentially, but again, that goes to with what the county fairs in the state of Minnesota do, because so many of them are in July that we run into too many conflicts with exhibitors.
Be prior to that? then,
Yeah.
so.
Have any other counties canceled their fair other than that one we talked about the other day?
3 have, Polk, Aiken, and Freeborn have all canceled all events at their fairgrounds for the whole year and also canceled their fairs. That was as of yesterday. I heard 3 so far.
I think Pipestone County's been in pretty good shape compared to some of the other counties around us, and we kind of want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
But if we have any, and the medical center, of course, is something we'd like to see opening on a limited basis too, as soon as possible, but that's another area where,
Oh, the other thing that I forgot is a lot of these, so we are planning on going to this show that's in South Dakota, and they have a disclaimer on the entry form that somebody of an adult has to sign, right? That you're
Okay.
a liability disclaimer, basically that they're not holding the county or anybody accountable, and they know they're taking the risk of potentially intermingling with somebody. They have a whole statement with that too. So, I mean, that's another little blanket of safety as far as a liability from a county standpoint, but.
No, I do like the fact that you planned this very well, and was very pleased to hear that you're gonna allow no spectators out there, because that's the biggest fear. We just don't need a bunch of people, whether it's outside or not, to be in close quarters.
Right.
So I think social distancing or physical distancing is gonna go on for months, if not a year at this point. And, you know, even masks make sense too, to some degree too. We do know we're gonna have more positive cases and more people get sick, and we know it's gonna happen when we open things up too, because everyone wants to get moving. But
It's the 18th that the governor's supposed to make his announcement, isn't it?
better be by the 18th.
I would hope it's before
It better
then.
be this week.
Right, because it goes out of effect on the 18th.
Yeah, it drops off at midnight, May 18th, so it better be in the next few days. Yours is a little bit easier to work with. We
Yes,
need to
it
work
is.
with the Rates Cattle Show for the 5th, 6th, and 7th is coming up really fast, though.
Right.
So that's the one we need to talk about. It's Angie, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll get a hold of her and see what her plans are, and if she's gonna be able to, if they can comply with the same thing, if they're gonna have spectators, but possibly that would make sense.
I mean, I would assume if the governor extends the stay-at-home thing, we'd have to not have anything going on
It'd be a
then.
no at that point,
Right.
unless the expiration date is before the show.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
But otherwise, it may be okay with no spectators, masks, and do what you can to.
I think we could better answer your question 2 weeks from now.
I would agree.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's why this is for discussion really much
Hang
today,
in.
get everybody's input.
Everything's kind of known now, but if it looks good and the governor says we're gonna open things up, I know in Edgerton, a lot of businesses are open now. They're
Right.
just not talking about it, they're not worried about going to prison or anything, they're just, but, you know, you can't get a haircut, and the beauty shops are closed, and, you know, there's a lot of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jenna presented some very good ideas though, moving forward with it, especially if you're isolating yourself with your livestock. That, how more isolated can you really get then without having spectators and stuff? So I think you have a lot of really good ideas that
I
might
was
be able
telling
to
these
make
guys, I was in Mankato yesterday, and I went to the Fleet Farm and the Home Depot, and you could hardly find a parking place. And most of the people half of the people aren't wearing masks, and they're just going on, and they're being careful. I mean, they're not, and the clerks all have a shield and all this kind of stuff. But so, you know, I don't think there's any more risk being at the fairgrounds with 100 people than there is going into a Walmart.
Right.
You know, so I mean, I think we're trying to be cautious, but I think we're gonna have to let things happen a little bit here before too long, so.
Okay. Yeah, Steve, or you guys have any other suggestions or questions, just
Sounds good.
get a hold of me. So,
Okay.
all right,
Thank you, appreciate you coming.
Mr. Chair, before we finish this though, Steve, you had mentioned getting input. I wonder, in light of, again, the fact that we're a county-owned medical facility, if it would be prudent for us to get an opinion from our own local health officials as well. We've got a responsibility here to set a good example as well.
Well, we've been getting an opinion every Friday for the last 2 months. On our
Yes,
Friday meetings.
but I mean specifically about this specific event, what measures could be taken and where we're at. I realize there's a lot of variables right now as far as the governor's stay-at-home order and how the virus progresses and testing and so forth. So I guess I would just proceed very cautiously here.
Okay. I'll reach out to Brad. See if he's got any input on this. Dan, does that be okay?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so
No action
there's
needed
no
today.
action needed on that. We're gonna wait until the governor speaks, sounds like, and then we'll flip a coin. I don't know. Nobody knows what's, out there.
Joyce, come on up.
You know, Joyce is here, so we can, you were
That's okay.
3 minutes early, but that's okay.
Hey, that's better than late. Yesterday.
Yeah,
Keep it left him hanging. So,
Find my,
County Board of Equalization. What are we gonna do? So, and I wish I would have shared this with you. I didn't know I was coming today, but, earlier in the week, we had gotten, the county assessors had gotten an email from the Department of Revenue. And basically, you can have an open meeting like you're having today, but we do have to, in case someone does not want to appear, that they can still attend that meeting, like through Zoom or something like that. So, and the only thing with that, then they said, if you choose, you have to get that out in the media as soon as possible. So we were, it's just kind of up for discussion, and we were gonna actually meet tomorrow morning and kind of have a game plan for you, maybe. And I think Steve's thinking, this is basically for discussion and
biggest thing Joyce talked to me is we don't have to re-advertise this again. So, but if we're going to change it and do something virtually, obviously we'll need to get it out there so people know that they call in.
so that they have the meeting.
Right, so they have that.
So, and just because of local boards, most of them went open book. Okay, so you have two, on a local board level, before it gets to you guys, there's two types of meetings. They can have a local board meeting like you do with the county board, but they have to have the trained individual, and they also have to have a quorum of the board. Well, this year with COVID, obviously, most of them went and chose to not hold that. Some did. I think it was about 50-50, where we advertised, had the notices pasted all over the front of your doors with the meeting number, so that they could come in and onto the meeting platform and hold the meeting. And then, so the boards were there, they were on that phone call, and everybody could hear everybody and whatnot. So we had, of the 21 districts, we had 10 one way, 11 the other way. But the problem is that because of the situation where we did have the local boards, I did mention to them that I think we need to be lenient because of the situation, that if someone didn't get heard because they didn't know the number was out there, the process, because it was very short, we advertised as best we could, but it was a very short window. So really, in essence, it allows about everybody to come forward. So, and we have had, and I was trying to get Chris to kind of give me a number. I mean, I think we have some situations where City of Pipestone, I'll just use as an example, the local assessor worked out a situation for them. It came up with a recommendation of a change or no change or whatever, and if they don't agree with that, then they still have that opportunity to move forward. So you could have some of those situations. There's some fixes on my end. We found, something wrong. We had too much, too much something or not enough of something, so, which I always have every year. So we'll have, I'll have some recommendations coming from my office, which those go pretty quickly. But we could have people showing up. We could have people on the phone. And the recommendation is that they call ahead so we know what we're dealing with, and I can be prepared to give you some information on that. But I guess if they're calling at the last minute and I don't have time to put that together, their next option to me, in my opinion, and not yours, but my opinion, is they can file a tax court. But you can't, I would hate to see you guys do a change based on no information, no criteria, so. So I don't honestly know what to expect. I said, can you give me kind of a ballpark of what you're running into? And she's thinking probably a dozen which is where she was at, and some of those are my recommendations too, so. So, I guess, you know, we just need to kind of know what you feel, if you did want it open, you want it all closed and through Zoom or something, I don't know.
You could do both, couldn't you? I mean, we'd be here and people could come here, but if they don't want to come here, you'd still have the Zoom
And
option.
And I imagine if you're holding your county board meetings this way, you almost are kind of, probably would be good to leave it open and then advertise that it
We've
is.
been
gonna
having
be
our
available.
hospital board meetings on Zoom, and after the first few times, it gets a little better. But for somebody that hasn't been using that, it's kind of hard to get in and communicate, but once you do it a few times, it actually works pretty good for,
It's relatively easy,
Yeah.
but then we're gonna probably have a lot of people that don't have the
Yeah, a lot of them
capabilities.
won't be
So
able to-
we're gonna have to do the phone conference.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I think, no matter, I think Zoom is gonna have to be set up. Know what, you know, just because even if you hold it like this today, if I'm sitting at home and I'm elderly or whatever, you know, and I don't feel comfortable coming, you have to make that available to them, and that's that Zoom meeting, so. But because of the numbers, you may wanna consider too, to set a policy, and he goes into that into this letter, of how long do you want them to talk? You know, if we end up with 20 people here, you know what I'm saying? You probably want to establish some guidelines. And we can't, you know, this is pretty close to the end of the season, and June 30th is the deadline, and to reconvene, it'd have to be pretty quickly, a turnaround too. So.
With the Zoom, you can only get your call numbers so much time ahead of it, right?
No, what we did with our locals, we set them up like today, got the meeting number, and then we published it, and that's where they blast the
Oh,
media
you
with
were
it.
able to do it that far ahead?
Yeah, yeah.
I think if you just publish those numbers and the date and the time it's gonna be, and then just leave it up to them. I mean, and if they wanna show up here, a few people show up, I guess you'll have to have the door open and have somebody there to let them in and tell them that during the meeting, they'll be required to wear masks if you want to, or whatever, I don't know, I mean, what,
Yeah, we can make them some
Social
recommendations.
you know, they'd have
And
to.
the notice, and, you know, we could probably do the website, we could do the newspaper if we get it there soon enough. We could do maybe a radio spot.
Somebody has a
I don't
question.
want to really advertise this though either. I don't want to inundate you with half the county in here either.
They could certainly call you too, or talk, or email or something too.
Oh, yeah,
so, you
yeah.
know.
It's just they don't have, today, they don't understand, right now, the notices went out that you're holding your meeting from 7 to 7:30 on June, you know, 15th or whatever,
Right.
15th through 16th, and, you know,
So that's already been determined,
yeah.
that's gonna happen, so.
And every time we send correspondence out, even like, if we made a change at a local board, we said, if, you know, if you're not satisfied, you have this opportunity, and this is the time and place, but you must call for an appointment. But there's gonna be some that, the open meeting avenue, or the ones that had open meetings, it's specific that they don't have to go through me necessarily, that's just a recommendation, but then they can come forward to you. The sad part of that is I can't give you any information if they show up with me not being notified.
But you'd have, your records are on computer and whatnot. I mean, you'd be able to provide some information, I would think.
As far as maybe the details of it, but to be able to do the analysis of, is it, you know, comparable to this? or that,
Oh,
we have to
right.
come up with all that. Yeah, so it'd be limited.
Yeah.
So what's our wishes? Do we want Joyce to kind of put the word out that we're gonna have it available, the meeting available on Zoom?
I think it'd make a difference what the governor does too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you,
Till June, so we've got
Little
a
time.
little time to do it anyway. I like the idea of the hybrid meeting personally, where we can have people in person, we maintain social distancing, and we don't get 30 people in here, something like that. And also have it on Zoom at the same time, make it available many ways as we can. More people that can possibly stay home, even better, but as long as they get their information. 'Cause it is open, like you said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
we
way it
gotta
was
be
done.
careful not to step on the open meeting law.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. We gotta make sure we're doing that, so.
But I would think the sooner you could set it up, the better, just so you can get the information out to people.
Right.
Well, and as long as we kind of know what you're thinking and we're okay with that, we could probably do that earlier then. We
Oh, yeah.
probably wouldn't have, we don't have to
Gotta
wait for
do it
the,
whenever you have time to get the word out. And
Yeah.
put all that in the paper or whatever you're gonna do and put it on our website, maybe.
Yeah, get it on the webs.
I think it's a good idea, even no matter what the governor decides, there's gonna be people that are still gonna wanna shelter in place as much as possible anyway, that would probably prefer that route,
Right.
so.
yeah, I think so too.
So, that'll work. We'll set that up. Do it both ways.
Get Tyler on board tomorrow morning. Do you still want to?
Yeah, let's meet tomorrow, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go through the details on it tomorrow, so Tyler and I. You. Dan, did you catch all that? Dan? Dan?
Dan must have nodded
Took
off.
me a second to find my mute button.
Okay.
Actually, you were sleeping.
That's right. No, I followed all that discussion and agree, and I like the idea, like I said, kind of the hybrid model there. We can do a combination of Zoom and in person as well. It makes good sense.
Okay.
Because, yeah, even if the governor does open things up, we're still going to have people that are going to be very conservative, and it's nice to offer them an alternate as well, too.
Is there a possibility, I'm just thinking, what if we get a lot of people showing up, that we can socially distance? I mean, can we use the community room?
I think we can, I've
They
talked to
can
Bill, I
hear.
think we can get audio and video in the community room on the
That-
TV.
We could
and
use
then
that for overflow.
For overflow if we need to.
If we wanted that.
Yep.
And I think I should recommend mass, probably.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea at least.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, though, we normally don't have but a handful of people show up for these anyway, do we? Or am I mistaken?
No, Dan, we typically don't, but because of COVID-19 and them switching their format to, open book, it opens that door wide open to come to you.
Right. Yeah, so it's good to be prepared for it, but I don't really anticipate having a large crowd, but we'll make sure that we're prepared.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, anything else, Joyce?
Nope, that's it.
Thanks, Joyce.
All right.
Okay, thank you. What about personnel? Do we have any, are we all done with the extra stuff, Steve, or do we?
Pretty
have-
much.
Okay. And we'll see what Kathy has to say here.
Yes, those were hers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just have one personnel request this morning, and I passed out the request. Dan, I didn't get one out to you, so hopefully you can hear my explanation.
Well, that's fine. I can follow along.
Okay. Basically, Casey Sievert has had no opportunity to use any of her vacation for the last couple months. I looked back and she's actually been losing vacation since at least the beginning of this year. She's just been very, very busy with the COVID-19, with both her EM duties and EMS. So, this isn't something we typically do, but considering the pandemic that's going on and just all the extra workload, we'd like to allow her to have a higher vacation balance for a period of time. So kind of open up the cap on her vacation up to 312 hours instead of 240. She accrues 12 hours per month, so that would give her 6 months of accruals, and she would have to get her balance back down below that 240, basically about a year from now, so May 1st, 2021.
Kathy and I talked about this and with Casey as well, and this is extraordinary times. This is, it's an unusual request, but it's something that in light of what's going on, it makes sense to take care of our people. That she's been putting in a lot of extra time on this, and both her and Renee have as well, and EMS has been very busy, EM's been crazy busy, she said too, and it's just, so she's been putting in a lot of time to make sure the county is as safe as she possibly can and help us out through this event, so I definitely would go along with the recommendation as well for this.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval.
Okay, Chris made the motion to approve the request.
Second.
I'll second it. Any other discussion? Okay,
Question I've got, I couldn't quite hear, so this is a temporary extenuation of the cap, and then she'll have to get her numbers back down to the existing level once we get past this. Is that what I understood?
Yeah, she'll have until May 1st, 2021 to get her numbers back down to 240 hours.
Okay, very good.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, that is all I had, so.
Okay, okay, thank you, Kathy. And do we have a COVID-19 update, Steve?
Yep,
or-
I'll give you some, what's going on there. We talked about the fairgrounds already, and at some point, we are going to be opening up the courthouse. And some things that we've done on the front end of this already is we had a webinar, actually a Zoom meeting with a company out of the cities. It's called No Wait Inside. And what it is, it's a forward-facing program that we set up here, and it actually texts messages to the people who want to be seen at our courthouse. So if they have appointments, or they want to make an appointment to get their driver's license renewed, or a passport, or see the assessor, or see the recorder, or something like that, is that we'll have this available for all the different offices. And it's called No Wait Inside, and what it'll do is we'll set it up. People can call in. If they want to call, we can set up a time where they can come in. We'll put it on their phones. So the idea is that they will be able to wait in their cars out in the parking lot, and we shoot them a text, and then it's their turn to come in. And the biggest input of this was Tyler. He was just very excited to hear about this because he's very concerned that we're going to be bombarded by people wanting to get their driver's licenses very quickly. So if we can maintain the flow and not have a bunch of people standing around, maintain social distancing, decided to do that. So it's basically called a first in, first out, or we can do block scheduling or a combination. And it's all set up on a website, and they can sign up or call in, and we'll take care of them that way. And any office can use it. They call them adding pools, so we could add a pool for the recorder's office, the assessors, anything we want to, sheriff's department, if they want to renew their permits to carry or something like that, we can do that. We could work it out at Kyle's office too, if they need to do that as well. And the cost is like $29 a month and 5 cents for an outgoing text the county would have. That is like dirt cheap. So there would also be, it's HIPAA compliant, so we'd have a business associate agreement with them, so we would be able to do this. So we figured it'd be, at maximum, be like $15 to $20 a day if you had 100 customers waiting. So it's not a lot of money. So for the cost involved, I talked to Bill about it. Others decided to just move forward and give it a try and see how it works. Lyon County's setting it up already. Rock County's doing it. Nobles County's doing it. We were like the second one to jump on, and everyone in the region. Redwood's looking at doing it too, because they're all in the same boat. How do we let people into the building without having everybody stand around? Is let them make appointments.
The cost isn't per office, it's just for the whole building?
The whole thing is $29 a month for as many as we put on it.
Okay.
And it's 5 cents per outgoing text, so that's one we would send out, not them responding back saying, yeah, I'm here, ready, or I want to make an appointment, that type of thing. It's just what we would send out to say, okay, we're ready for your appointment, come on in. So it sure would help a backlog, because we don't have a whole lot of space on our main hallway to social distance a whole lot of people. So the more we can do that, and Kathy and I talked, we could use it for passports too, once we get that up and running too. So it's very easy to use. Setup time is about an hour is what it would take to get it going on it. So go with that. Other things that are going on is we're going to be meeting with the department heads this week or early next week, because we do have to figure out what, once the governor decides what they're going to do, that we do have to open up. And thinking about when we do open, my idea is we do a soft opening, that we run that for maybe 3 to 4 weeks, where we're doing everything by appointment, and see what June is looking like. Maybe we extend it further. I'd still like to see people continue to, what we're doing now, work at home and work here. There's no reason to change that. It's working well, and we don't want our people to get sick either. We did talk, Kathy and I did talk about it, is that we're gonna have some staff needs. We're gonna have some masks and gloves and obviously sanitizer. And then we're gonna have the departments do a daily screen with their employees. We do have 3 self-registering thermometers, forehead thermometers coming. So we just basically ask them how they're feeling and have them keep an internal record of it, but we're not gonna keep a medical record on all these people. We're gonna recommend that anybody coming into the building will wear a face mask. It's very hard to mandate that, because there's no law out there that really says you have to, but I did talk to Casey about it and asked her if she could find a supply of cloth masks someplace that we could give people that didn't have a mask that were gonna come and see us, so that we're trying to do everything we can to help the public stay safe too. Wouldn't be mandatory that our staff wear masks, but that we'd have them available for them as well. Also, by then, we should have our screens up in the offices too, our Lexan screens, which should help as well. Haven't determined on a daily questionnaire, but we are gonna, ask them how they're feeling. Like I said, work from home will continue. And did talk to Keith yesterday. He's going to be going back into regular business with 2 dispatchers on May 25th. It's just getting busier and busier. So he needs to go back to where we were. So he said this was a good experiment. It worked well, but he said just drive around town. You can see more and more people are moving around than they were. And they're getting busier on the law enforcement side of things as well. So basically an update what we're working on right now anyway. So that's any
Okay.
comments or questions or anything. That's what we're working towards.
Okay. I think between your emails and updates and the updates we get from
Steve, while we're talking about lessons learned, maybe now would be a good time also to explain about this AMC committee. Can you explain to the rest of the commissioners what we're doing there? You want me to do that, or?
Oh, go ahead, Dan. You're on it. Please do.
Yeah. I received a request from Julie Ringman from AMC, and they're putting together a 15-person committee to kind of look at some of these exact items of lessons learned, things that we've done to adjust to COVID, and lessons learned that we might actually carry forward. So I had told her I'd certainly be willing to do that. Does this take, since how it's an AMC committee, does that take specific approval or action by our entire board? Steve, do you know, should we act on that, or is that necessary?
We should act on that. Are there per diems involved in this, or travel or anything that you know of?
Not at this point. There isn't. Everything right now is virtual. We're doing it via Zoom, and so there isn't at this point. And I would make the presumption that if the day comes that we do, that other AMC committees are always absorbed. That cost is absorbed by AMC and not held by the county.
Right. Yeah. AMC committees are also listed on our meeting list too for commissioners as well, AMC related activities. So I don't think we need a special motion on that, special action.
And we've only met once. We'll have our next one will be Wednesday and then Friday again of this week. So we're just getting started. But I want to let you guys know that. And again, it's directly correlated with what Steve was just talking about as far as the types of things that we carry forward into the future.
Do they have an ultimate goal, or, what's the mission of that committee?
I'm looking for the exact mission statement they have. It was created to contemplate the potential for new ways of conducting county business in the future based on what we've learned during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. And then the purpose of the membership and there's a membership of 15 counties. Looking for the exact verbiage that they had on that. It's not right in front of me. But yeah, basically it's just a temporary committee.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you, Dan.
budget report. Steve, is that something
In
you
your
want to go
packet,
through?
I gave you a copy of the expenditures and budget report for the first quarter. I'm gonna put together a little spreadsheet of where we are percentage-wise. Look through those. What the big expenditures are, if you're looking at things like conservation, all that, is the expenditures being made, but grant revenue has not come in yet. Same way with the overall revenue fund. Obviously, taxes aren't in yet for the first half, so that's why it looks like we're way over at this point. But virtually, if you take a look at most of the departments, we're right on target where we should be. A couple minor anomalies where we spent a little extra on it, like fairgrounds is up to 47%, but we don't have a lot of expenditures throughout the rest of the year. So this is just, again, a snapshot in time for the first 3 months of the year. So really no major issues that I saw anywhere. So I'm very pleased with how the budget is going, and the departments are getting our bills in and getting our bills paid, and it's looking fine right now. So.
Mr. Chair. Steve, do you know what some of those costs for the fairgrounds were? Was that some of the electrical updating or anything?
That would be 112. Let's take a quick look at it here. Biggest expense was insurance.
Insurance.
So property liability for the year. And we did, the $18,000 for equipment was the share of Wayne's skid loader. So we split half of that between the courthouse and half between the fairgrounds.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
But that's something that'll be around for 20 years too, so that's kind of a once in a.
So that's all paid for as well, so he got that right away, and it's worked very well this winter. It's got, Wayne was very happy, it's got enough weight on it where actually he can use the bucket and get underneath the ice and get it pushed, where the Bobcat we had was just too light on the front end and couldn't get enough pressure down to move snow, so it's worked very well.
The parking lot looked a lot better this winter than it has previous winters.
Oh, yeah, it's worked well. Speaking of the
That's
parking lot,
about
we
80% of what's been spent so far.
what's that?
That was about 80% of what's been spent out of that budget so far, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all good. We should be finaling out the courthouse parking lot project anytime. We had, first repair we had done is Martinez Concrete came out and replaced that piece of concrete that had heaved. You might have seen the cones there, a little piece. That was the section that the tourists accidentally stumbled into last summer, and they didn't have it barricaded off or anything. So then it decided that it wasn't pinned into the concrete, so it moved. So we made them replace that under warranty. And then the other piece that hasn't been done yet is the retaining wall out there needs to be fixed. It got hit with a bucket off of one of their little loaders when they were working on the sidewalk going into the building. So that's got to get reset. And then we'll, as soon as Martinez gets his IC 134 form to the Department of Revenue, we'll final it out. So doesn't have a whole lot left on it. It's like about $8,000 is what he's owed yet. So
Okay.
get that taken care of. And that's all I have on that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll have our committee reports.
Yep. Steve, did you want to report on final payment then for Central School? Or did you do that? Did I miss that?
No, it's not in yet. We just got the paperwork has just come in. The last payment for Retman, paperwork just came in from Bolton and Mink. Once the seating is done, told Bolton and Mink we can go ahead and final it out, and final payment will be about $8,500, and we'll be done with that. So I'll be able to bring that hopefully on.
We'll want to wait until we see it completed too, I'm sure, so.
Yep, everything's completed. So,
You wait till the grass comes up.
yeah, we'll watch the grass, but sometimes grass doesn't grow as well as it should, but.
Are the little rocks and junk picked up so that it'll be mowable?
Yep.
Did they, okay. I haven't-
Yeah, they came in, we had those really nice, warm April days, and they were here and had 3 different skid loaders. They were pulling rock, they were pulling sticks. They used that whole pile of dirt and spread it in the areas that were low. And they had rented a cedar and spread it all down with grass and then blew straw on top of it, so it's gonna take time. There's gonna be bare spots, there's no doubt about it. It's a huge, huge area, so. But
Okay, sounds good.
They completed their part of it, they did the work anyway, and, God willing, it'll grow. But I'll bring that in once I get all the final paperwork done on it. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, Chris, you want to give us your